Alright guys, welcome back to another episode of Crossing Swords with me, Andrew.
And me, Jake. Still Jake.
Yeah, still
After
Jake.
Time.
Yeah.
We are just over halfway through 2019.
Yeah.
And we thought, what better time than to do a little recap of the year so far.
Sounds good to me.
However, I know that you guys and us are sick of politics
A little bit, yeah.
and Brexit. So here's what I'm going to propose. I'm going to cap it off in about, you know what, I'm going to start a little timer and I'm going to cap it off and I'm going to try and do it in under a couple of minutes and then we're done. Good?
We say that, but probably in a few weeks we'll be back to politics.
Very likely. I'm going to start a timer. May started the year after winning a vote of no confidence in December, so she didn't come into it very brilliantly. However, she did survive it, so she came in with a Brexit deal. She brought that to the Commons, they said no. She thought they maybe didn't hear her, so she brought it again. They said no again. She went away.
Lucky.
She changed the font. She brought it back, and they actually said no, obviously. And a couple of months later, she finally decided to resign. Meanwhile, Labour, most of the news about Labour this year has been them facing a lot of anti-Semitic accusations.
Sorry, Tony.
The suggestions that Corbyn doesn't like Jews is crazy, because Corbyn just doesn't like anyone, including the soldiers who were filmed shooting at pictures of him. Yep, that happened. All the while, a dozen MPs from both the Tory party and Labour Party broke away to form a new party, Change UK, which then lost in the European elections to UKIP, believe it or not, got more votes than them. Yeah, which we actually touched upon. During the same elections, Nigel Farage made a comic book-like comeback from the depths of irrelevance to gain some grasp on relevance, and it worked, sort of, and he demanded a say on Brexit, which is due on Halloween. And I know all of you are getting ready to make jokes about scary stuff and Halloween and Brexit, but I would suggest easing up because it will probably be delayed and postponed even further. And that is politics done. 1 minute 30. Check it. Anything to add?
Yeah, I think for me, just to comment, anyone who thinks Brexit will be resolved by October is absolutely kidding themselves. The only way it gets resolved is if we go out with no deal, and even then it's not resolved, we'll still be in the EU in all but name, because of the Irish backstop. And I actually listened to an expert called Jason Hunter, who did sort of an audio file just to briefly explain it, and he said there's several different ideas that could be introduced, and I won't go into the details of them, but to cut a long story short, all options, even because the whole issue is the two Irish nations don't want physical infrastructure between the two of them. In terms of the border, even the options that would have no physical infrastructure would have physical infrastructure. So, and
sounds like politics.
And even those options are 10 years away from being implemented and are being incredibly costly and just wouldn't work. So that's my.
And that sounds like modern politics.
Yeah. Done. So that's done with politics. Let's move on.
In which case, not much to report from January. We're going to do this chronologically. In February, big story. Lots to discuss.
Yeah. The
jihadi bride, Shamima Begum.
Yeah.
Split the nation.
Yes.
Possibly split this room.
Yeah.
Let's find out.
Alright, you start then.
I'll start. I think it's a really tough one. I think, yes, I can understand everyone not wanting to let her back in. Personally, I would let her back in. However, she would absolutely face consequences for what she's done.
Yeah.
But more importantly, let's use her as a tool to try and find out how she was turned into going and joining the fight in Syria. Let's find out how she might suggest that or learn from what she says to see if we can stop anyone else doing it, how we can spot the signs of it better. And also, as much as it was her decision to go, she is still a human being. She is still a British human being, and I know we want to deny her British citizenship, which I think she has been denied.
Yeah,
but she is a British, she was at the time of seeking it, a British citizen. Yeah. That does not mean she should come back without consequences, but I do believe that does allow her the right to come back, and particularly her baby, which is a child, for fuck's sake. And even if you say we don't let her back in, I can completely understand that and I can get behind that. It might not be what I think, but you've got to at least let the child, and the child's dead now anyway, so it doesn't really fucking matter. but you've got to let the child.
And you do wonder, would the child still be alive?
Yeah, well, quite. Those are my thoughts on it. And also in the videos where she seemed to be non-reactive to beheadings and things like that. Well, one, even if she is non-reactive, that's come over time. That's been taught. That's through just seeing that shit every fucking day.
Yeah.
And two, it may well be very emotional, but you're not allowed to express that in front of these people that are probably trying to, you know, allow you to make this video on some kind of propaganda terms.
Yeah.
So she's got to try and negotiate a way of getting back in without looking too desperate, because they don't want it to look desperate, and you know, because they'd never allowed the video to leave the country. It's a really tough one, and I realise I've probably pissed off a lot of people suggesting it. What are your thoughts?
Along a similar vein, I mean, I can, like you, completely understand the calls to revoke her citizenship, which did happen, and to basically say she made her bed and that she should lie in it, and I sympathise with that opinion to a point. But like you, she did have a child. The child didn't deserve to be in the situation she was in. You know, the child was born into it, much like a lot of other people in that part of the world. I mean, and my thoughts on that is that we should be doing more in general, particularly considering the fact we have a huge hand in the situation anyway, which is a whole other subject. But yeah, I would have let her come back. Like you say, there's a lot you could learn from her. I wouldn't have allowed her back into society. She should have been kept in prison.
No, and that's the debate.
And while her child was alive, I would have put the child into foster care with a nice family where it could have been protected from her.
Yeah, witness relocation style.
Because I don't know whether she was radicalised or whether she's just generally the sort of person that believes in those views. But as it stands, we're never going to know because we've not allowed her back into the country. And I think fundamentally people make mistakes, so even if she wasn't radicalised and she saw the error of her ways,
she's allowed to change.
She's allowed to change,
but not without consequence.
But no, not without consequences. And I would have allowed her back in, but to be reprimanded to custody for the remainder of her life.
And that's what I really want to ram home as well.
Until we could guarantee, if it was even possible to do so, that she was not a threat to our society.
No, quite, and that's the thing. I don't think it was ever. You know, I didn't want anyone to believe that she was just going to walk back in, get a nice council flat, set up shop, be lovely and cushy.
Change her name.
She was always going to face consequences. And they could be very severe consequences.
But I think with these things, and like a lot of things, the reaction is always an emotional one, rather than a logical one. And I think there's more pros to allowing her back into the country, especially if it's in custody, than to deny her to come back. And also it shows a bit of credibility from our country's side of things that we're open rather than closed.
And I think just to and we're not going to get into this, because just a quick note, we're not going to discuss anything that we're not prepared to go into a full episode. If there's anything that's come up that we want to really delve into, we've sort of saved it and we're going to delve into it. So if there's any stories and stuff that you think, hold on, that was a pretty big thing that we just completely ignored, we didn't.
I mean, this issue is part of a much wider issue that we can't cover properly unless you do it as a one episode thing, which is the Middle East in general. And I'd rather not sit here and bore people and try and do it quickly and not give it the service it deserves.
Quite, but the reason I say it is because the thing that I was going to mention, I think it came at a good time for Sajid Javid as Home Secretary, because knife crime and dangerous crime, violent crimes have been on the up and up and up for a long time now, and he hasn't been able to do anything about it, except him revoking her citizenship was like a please the crowd, didn't really take much to do. It was a tiny issue that was made big by the press, by the papers, and a tiny issue that managed to bring him some favour. Yeah, and some credibility. With the whole violent crime thing going on. I think it came some goodwill. Yeah, I'd agree with that. So, I would say, for now, that's the Jihadi Bride covered. Dealt with, and February dealt with. Not much happened in March, except for this guy. I had my birthday. Getting older. Yeah. Quite. and I know you probably don't want to, but can you just share what is one of my favourite, most insulting stories ever to occur of when you went to the barber's and he mistook your age and thought it a compliment?
Oh, what a prick. So yeah, I'll try and be as brief as possible. I went for a haircut and I get it done quite short, and as he's shearing it off, I noticed all these grey hairs, and I just happened to say to the guy, I mean, Jesus, that's a lot of grey hair. And he was like, yeah, but that's normal when you're in your mid-30s. And I was like, your mid to late 30s. And I was like, well, hold on a second, mate, I'm only 28. And he was like, oh, my bad.
And I know, I said this to you at the time, my favourite thing about that is that whenever you're going to guess someone's age, you always go low.
Yeah, he went hard.
So what he's done is he thinks you're older than that, and he's lowballed it to try and...
He must be a this dude's in his mid-40s.
I'm going to call him mid-30s, it'll be a nice compliment, pick him up.
Yeah, no, just smack me back down. I mean, luckily I don't mind the fact I'm going grey, but what I do mind is that bloke thought I was at least in my mid to late 30s when I'm in my late 20s.
I'm sorry for making you share that story.
No,
it's one of my absolute favourites.
Yeah,
one of the most insulting things to ever happen.
I've gone back to that barber's, but I've made sure not to him.
Well, that is quite right. Unless you go with a big birthday badge on,
yeah,
that clearly states you're 20. Well, would be 29.
Yeah.
So yeah, nothing happened in March. Then in April, quite a lot happened.
Yeah.
Starting with, and it's something we're not going to really discuss because there's not too much to discuss, but I had to mention it, the discovery, or the photo of the black hole.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
One of the biggest scientific revelations ever. Very cool. The way, if you've not seen the photo, Google it now. It's fucking everywhere. You're not going to struggle to get hold of it. And it's just the way that all the light particles flowing into the vacuum all seem to gather largely around the bottom. I find it fascinating, and I cannot wait to see the work that the theoretical physicists do to try and come up with answers as to why that happens.
Yeah.
It's absolutely fantastic, and the credit goes to Katie Bauman, an American computer analyst who created this algorithm called CHIPS. I'm not even going to try and understand what that stands for or how it works.
No.
But she got all the telescopes and all the radiographs and stuff in the world linked up, aimed in one direction, and took this picture. And it is an incredible achievement.
No, it's brilliant.
Then, Extinction Rebellion.
Yeah.
A world apart from scientific revelations, but loosely linked through science.
Yeah.
The science of climate control. Now, we're not going to talk too much about what Extinction Rebellion did or what they stand for, although we're both big advocates for climate change.
Yes, we are.
We both are going to be attending
a
march, although by the time this airs, we may well have attended it.
Yes.
But we are going to start protesting. We're both big advocates for climate change.
Yeah,
we both believe that something needs to be done.
It is an incredibly frightening the damage that's been done to the planet, and that has been done. That is, it's been irrevocably damaged, and it can't be reversed.
But what we thought we could discuss is protests.
Yeah.
Now, their protests were quite extreme. They were as far as you could go without bordering into violence.
Yeah.
I mean, they were gluing themselves to trains.
Yeah.
They parked themselves up in the streets, stopped traffic.
Yeah.
They really disrupted everything.
Yeah.
Is it right?
No. I mean, for me, I think protesting, it serves a purpose, but when it goes to that sort of level, I mean, and even violence serves a bit more of a purpose than that does, because for me, I think you lose credibility when you behave like that. It's not about the message they're trying to put across. All people are seeing is there's some donuts gluing themselves to the floor. Quite. And all people are going to think if you're blocking traffic is there's some prick blocking the traffic. They're not thinking, oh, good for them, they're fighting for climate change.
But I would argue, in dominating the news in the way that it did, it keeps the conversation going. It brings it to the forefront.
Does it though? Because I still don't think it's getting the coverage it needs, and I think what people are remembering about those protests isn't the fact they were protesting climate change, it's the way that they protested.
Quite. But I think that protests sometimes need to be extreme. I think for the government to listen and bend, I mean, you look at the stuff that's just gone on with the yellow jackets in France.
Yeah.
It worked. It started over the rising price of gas. They took to the streets. it wasn't pretty. It was violent, but gas prices were immediately reduced.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to take extreme measures to get extreme answers. Now, I'm not advocating violence, but sometimes to make people pay attention, and to make the right people pay attention, you have to get right up in their faces and disrupt everything that they're doing. You have to disrupt people going to work, try and disrupt the economy in some way, really get at them and make them listen, make it dominate every news story so that everywhere these people turn, they see it and they have to answer it in some capacity. That's how I feel about it. Well, that's at least a counterpoint.
I think that's definitely a fair argument, but I think to an intelligent individual, and I'm not trying to talk down to people.
Talk down to me? It sounds like you're about to talk down to me.
No, but to an intelligent person, and I'm actually trying to compliment you, like yourself, you will see a protest like that and think, no, fuck, they're right, climate change is a big deal. But to the average person on the street, they're going to look at a front page of a newspaper and just go, what a prick. And I just think that's the attitude it's going to be. I don't think a politician will only pay attention when they absolutely have to. So you're right. In terms of making life difficult for them, it works. But I think they lose the support of the general public through that sort of behaviour. So it becomes counterproductive.
Perhaps, but I'm not sure you're aiming for the general public. I mean, we've discussed this before, not to get
no, but it just creates more tension.
The general public are not the ones that cause...
No, but then I think potentially, so if they piss off the general public, it means the next time someone comes across that sort of protest, there's going to be more aggression towards it from the general public.
Possibly.
Which then can end up creating violence. Now, that's the extreme outcome, it's not a guaranteed outcome. But I just think for me, it doesn't quite achieve what it's supposed to, because I don't think well on for them going after climate change, although that's what I should be thinking. I think they're a bit thick doing some of the things they did.
Well, we'll see whether they're effective or not, because it's not over. They've promised more protests, more disruption. I'm sure you can visit, I'm sure they've got a website set up where you can visit and check out what they are planning.
Yeah, I mean, for me, if they did things like, and I would agree with you in terms of making things difficult for those who it actually matters to, is protesting outside their local MP, making it impossible for them to work. Get thousands of people to go outside the Houses of Parliament and block entrances and stuff like that. You know, those sort of things where they actually go, oh God, what are these guys actually going on about? And continuously...
I agree, I think they need to target the right people.
Yeah.
CEOs of these big corporations
pumping
out these ridiculous amounts of greenhouse gases.
Yeah, have trash sent to a big company that contributes to the pollution's properties, you know.
Or
just make
arrange something. This requires quite a large logistical operation, but perhaps arrange one of these companies that gets rid of mass amounts of shit that cause all this pollution. Maybe try and pay off the right people and get that stuff collected, and rather than having it dumped in the ocean or whatever, try and get a chunk of it dumped in the in front of the homes of the big CEOs that are making these decisions.
Those sort of things make more sense to me.
Quite, but we shall see.
Yeah, hopefully it works. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Well, I
despite my to discourage the behaviour going forward.
To discourage the behaviour, I agree with the message, but like yourself, I don't necessarily think they've gone about it in a way that's great.
I mean, at the same time as me disapproving of their methods, I do also appreciate it gets to a point where, they probably did a lot of more peaceful things and less disruptive things that just didn't get any attention. So I understand then they have to start going...
You have to escalate it, quite.
Yeah, so I can imagine that's probably exactly what happened.
Yeah, I believe so too. Should we talk about something a little bit lighter?
Yeah, why not?
Tiger Woods.
What, winning a major for the first time in God knows how long?
11 years. What a comeback, because he's had a really shit few years with the whole thing with the affair and the scandal.
You say affair, it was
operations. It was several affairs.
Not several.
Credit where it's due.
I don't know how many prostitutes that guy put through university, but it was a lot.
There's a lot of hookers' kids riding education grants given by Tiger Woods.
Yeah. And anyone who bought his video games.
I mean, who'd have thought that playing golf would land you such a sexual appeal?
It's the money.
I think it's the power of the swing. You see them.
Well, he's not swinging his dick.
You see them powerful hip to people. You don't know how he practices. Maybe he takes them out back.
Well, I know he had to
drops the ball on the tee and just flops out. And
I mean, what irons do we reckon he's rocking?
Well, for the amount of women he's been sleeping with continuously, it's got to be at least an 8 iron.
I mean, I think you're being generous. I reckon it's overcompensating. I reckon he's rocking.
You think he's
a 5 to 6 wood? You know.
You think he's just got a smaller club and a lot of money?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what's going on.
I think it's very possible, but to the best of my knowledge, none of them are prostitutes.
No, didn't he admit to using prostitutes?
He's used prostitutes in the past.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, I'm not going to lie.
I mean, what man's going to admit to that it was exclusively prostitutes?
This guy right here. I'm telling you now, if this pod takes off and we reach a level of a certain amount of fame, but more importantly, a certain amount of wealth, I will be completely honest in my use of prostitutes.
And cocaine?
And cocaine. I'm not Michael Gove. That'll be something we'll talk about. No, you know, politics is done, but it's never really done.
Yeah, and if you're listening to this, I want to make it abundantly clear, if I do somehow come into money, whether from the podcast or if I'm lucky to win the lottery or something like that, no prostitutes will be used.
No, that's good. And he definitely didn't wink.
No,
he definitely didn't wink suggestively.
No.
If anything, it was more of a straightforward, this is the truth kind of wink.
Yes.
And I believe you.
Yeah.
You'd make a good politician.
Thank you.
It's good, it's true. Although you're way too nice.
Yeah,
you're way too honest.
Yeah.
And you don't regret any of the drugs you've ever taken.
No, I don't. I've enjoyed every single experience.
Great experience.
Do you know what? I've never had a bad night on cocaine. Never.
No, I've never had a bad night on cocaine.
No.
But I'll tell you now, look, drugs don't bother me. But
hypocrisy is what
I know that I struggle with getting laid.
Yeah.
If I can just pay for it. And also, the great thing about that is you can schedule it in. There's got to be no romance. There hasn't got to be any like,
get in, get
am
off,
I in the mood? You can literally be like, I'm feeling a bit of sex tonight. When am I free? Boom, 9 o'clock. Book it in.
Leanne, I want to make it abundantly clear, prostitutes sicken me. You know, absolutely nothing about it appeals to me. Not at all.
No, and again, it was a very honest wink.
Yeah,
it was a really, really honest
nothing deceitful about it whatsoever.
I think we've gotten a little bit distracted really.
Yes, we have.
Woods
did
well. Comeback story.
About.
Yeah, we sort of ended up on our drug habits.
Yeah, which I absolutely don't have.
No, it's not so much a habit. It's just a hobby.
Yeah, something to enjoy on the weekend.
Just a little bit of
yeah.
Just to get you.
Especially while at work. I mean, while I'm at home.
No, never at work.
Never at work.
Never officially.
No.
At work.
And that was a very honest wink, I dare say.
No, I think it was an honest wink. It was a. This is absolutely true. Believe every word I'm saying. Wink.
Yeah.
Never smoke weed at work.
No.
A little bit of heroin, probably okay.
Heroin's fine.
Yeah, I think heroin's a work drug.
Yeah.
Coke is a work drug. It makes you hella productive.
Fucking too right it does. Not that I would know.
There'd be a come down.
Yeah.
But for the first couple of hours, fuck me, you'd rattle through it. And you wouldn't need the extra time.
No, you wouldn't.
I think I do endorse cocaine as a work drug.
Yeah, just to make it clear, guys, for anyone who doesn't have a sense of humour.
Oh God, no.
We are joking.
Drugs are completely illegal.
Yeah.
Do not take drugs.
Yeah, and for any police that might happen to listen to this,
I've never taken drugs. I've never ever taken drugs, officer. Yeah. And I never intend to.
Well, anyway, we have very much lost track of what we were talking about.
We have really lost track of what we were talking about.
Alright, so Tiger Woods.
Great comeback.
Yeah, great comeback. I've got to be honest. I sort of think he deserved his high. He seems like a thoroughly unpleasant individual from everything I've read about him.
And I know you're not really a golf fan, but I have to say, Tiger Woods winning the major again was fantastic because even though he's not won one for 11 years and he's not really been in the hunt for any of those 11 years, Tiger Woods, a golf tournament, for those of you that don't know how they work, the major tournaments, I mean all tournaments, but the major tournaments, everyone starts playing, they play a round on Thursday, a round on Friday, then the top half carry on playing, the bottom half get cut, they go home.
Yeah.
And the top half play again Saturday, Sunday. And it's the cumulative scores that add up. It's not each individual day, it's your score overall, and generally they mark it against par.
Up to 4 fucking good days to win.
Now Tiger Woods playing in a major on a Sunday is a terrifying thing for opponents. No one wants to be going into a Sunday with Tiger Woods in the hunt because he has shown, even though it's 10 years ago, over a decade ago, he has shown time and time again that he can hold his nerve, and that he can play consistently, that he's not going to fuck up, he's not going to drop shots, and that gets in your head as an opponent.
Yeah.
And it was great to see him back doing that, getting in people's heads.
Well, you know, I always believe in second chances, so hopefully it's a sign of things to come for him.
Yeah, and hopefully he invests his money not in hookers.
Yeah.
But perhaps, and this is going to be...
in a chastity belt.
I mean, that would be wise, for sure. If I was his agent, I'd be sending him links to chastity belts every fucking day.
Yeah.
Being like, come on, lock it up.
And also, just another observation, isn't it always the religious nuts, or the people who proclaim to be a religious nut tend to be the biggest evens on the fucking
Oh, the
planet?
most sexually repressed people tend to be the most perverted.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Again, not to reference the same thing over and over again, but just look at that abducted in plain sight. Sexually repressed, most fucked up perverts I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Why did he rank him off?
Just because he asked.
It's just kid stuff.
Just kid stuff. Do you want to... Yeah, sure. I can't even.
Why did he rank him off? Anyway, next question.
Well, no, because this is what I was going to do. I was going to make the most strenuous link ever made in broadcasting history. Are you ready?
Go on.
Perhaps Tiger Woods could invest his money in the rebuilding of Notre Dame. Notre Dame.
Maybe he has donated to it, who knows?
Notre Dame, I don't think there's much sex going on there, so probably not.
How dare you? People have sex in church, just with minors.
That is a phenomenal joke.
Desperately
Unbelievably
sad.
contentious. Oh yes, so controversial.
Yeah.
And quite depressing.
Yeah.
If you ever got touched, I am sorry for you.
Yeah, 100%. We don't need to make light of it, but
No.
you know, it happens to be true.
It absolutely happened.
Yeah.
But Notre Dame burnt down. Very sad.
Yeah.
However, I know you want to talk about the rebuilding. The stuff that came after it.
Yeah, I mean, it's harsh because, you know, people get really angry because wasn't it something like 2 billion was raised in a matter of days?
Yeah, not a lot.
To rebuild it.
Quite a lot, sorry.
And, you know, I did, and people got really angry about it because they were like, you know, you look at all the causes out there that really need that money, and an old building burns down and suddenly huge swathes of money gets piled in. And, you know, and I do agree with it to a degree. But yeah, I understand why people are throwing money at it. You know, it's a historic landmark, and it's desperately sad it burnt down.
But there's certainly questions to be raised as to if all this money can be raised that quickly.
Why isn't it being raised
Why
elsewhere?
are there still problems that exist? I mean, I know it's different continents, but Flint, Michigan, in America, has been without clean water for years now.
Yeah.
Several years this has been going on, and they're still turning on their taps to dirty, muddy water.
Yeah.
It wouldn't take it wouldn't take 2 billion or, you know, even a couple of 100 million to fix. It wouldn't.
No.
So why can't anyone raise money for that?
Well, no, but also, why hasn't the American government fixed it?
Well, because they are run by a man who believes that the moon is part of Mars. That happened at the start of June. I will read you the tweet, or in fact I won't read you the tweet, but I'll paraphrase. He said, he questioned why NASA was spending so much money trying to get to the moon. We've done that. We should be trying to get to Mars, which coincidentally, the moon is a part of anyway. That happened. That was from the fucking President of the United States of America. You can't honestly expect that man to fix a town's clean water.
Also, to be fair, I guarantee you, I'm actually shocked he doesn't think we've already gone to Mars. Surely he's seen the film The Martian with Matt Damon. And I'm pretty sure if he sat and watched it, he'd be convinced, like, well, fuck me, we did a good job there.
I'm surprised Matt Damon hasn't been given a position in the cabinet, or, you know, as like a senior scientist or something after his commendable work on Mars.
Although, if he watched Interstellar, he probably wouldn't like Matt Damon, to be fair.
No, that's
He's
true.
a bit of a prick in that film.
He is a bit of a prick. Way too relatable. But, moving on, not to linger too much on Notre Dame, it's very sad, very controversial. We got another question this week.
Yes.
And it ties in quite nicely, because one of the other big events of this year, you can't talk about this year without talking about Endgame, which grossed $2 billion in about as many weeks. It is a phenomenal success. The culmination of 10 years' work, 23
12 years,
movies. 12 years. You're quite right. No, 11.
11.
But, yeah, 23 movies, something like that, depending on whether you want to count all of them.
Yeah.
I think you should, even the Hulk. But that's contentious. Now, the question was, what do we make of the MCU as a whole? For me, I can't really speak too much about it because I fucking love it. It's my life. Genuinely, everything that all my pop culture has been MCU memes. It's been MCU quotes.
Yeah.
I fucking love it. They've done it absolutely the right way around. They've invested in their characters. They've invested in building a shared universe. They've made little hints here and there to the other characters without relying on them too much.
Yes.
And the films have been great, and I think Infinity War and Endgame were absolutely fantastic. I thought the deaths and the conclusion to stories and the characters was great and handled really, really well.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, Infinity War and Endgame I thought were brilliant films. And what I liked about Endgame was, you know, sometimes when you watch a film that hits the 3 hour mark, you sit there going, oh fuck, I want this to be over.
Yeah, I didn't need to pee once, and I have a small bladder. I need to pee a lot.
No, and it didn't feel like a 3 hour film.
No.
And like you say, I do like the way they wrapped up certain storylines. By the way, spoiler warning, Tony Stark dies.
Yeah, if you've not seen it now, you've got to be one of the very few people in the world who
you got a
hasn't.
spoiler warning, he's dead. Which, to be honest, you knew was coming. It was either him or Cap that was going to die because both of their contracts were expiring. So they had to wrap them up in
and their stories were quite... They were concluded. They were
they've been played out. You know, I mean, if you look, Iron Man was what kicked it all off, and it was nice to see the person who began that story ended that story. And I always liked Robert Downey Jr. in the role. I thought he was absolutely...
I think Marvel have cast absolutely phenomenally. I can't look back at any of their castings.
Although I did like Terrence Howard as War Machine, I was disappointed.
No, and I also liked Ed Norton. I love Ed Norton, but Mark Ruffalo for me is a better Hulk. He's a better Bruce Banner.
Yeah, and also from what I've heard, Ed Norton's
he's difficult to work with.
Yeah, well, you put it nicely. I've heard he's a cunt.
He is a prick. Yeah, he's a cunt.
Yeah.
Apparently, allegedly.
Yeah.
Neither of us have worked with him.
No, but everything I've read about him is negative.
I'm going to say at time of recording, just on the hope that one day we do work with him.
No, I don't, because I've heard he's a cunt to work with, so I don't...
Oh, you're saying no, so if they offer you a film
if he phoned us tomorrow...
And they said, right, we're doing a film, it's going to be you and Ed Norton, you're out.
Depends on the money. Money talks.
Fucking, there it is. All this bullshit. Oh, he's a cunt, I'm never working with him. Fucking for the right price you will.
Absolutely.
I don't need any price. Couple of hookers, as we've discussed, I'm all game.
Yeah, but you're selling yourself too cheap.
Cheaper than that, to be honest. A bag of crisps and I'm in.
It depends on the... Alright, I'll also, to make myself sound a bit better, it depends on the project. But
you're throwing a nice artistic angle. I like it.
Yeah. But no, back to Endgame, I did really enjoy it. And I thought it was a good way to send off Robert Downey Jr.
The MCU, because the other question, just to quickly cover it, what do we want going forward? For me, the introduction of the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, absolutely. They're looking at introducing Deadpool. I don't want that. I love Deadpool.
No, I like him on his own.
He's way too meta for the MCU. He would not fit the tone of the MCU at all, in my opinion.
For me, I'm happy for them to introduce the X-Men because obviously I think the Bryan Singer sort of side of it's ending now, isn't it?
It's absolutely ending. They know that it's going to be an MCU
and
thing.
to be honest, I'm sort of glad about that because I think overall, if you actually look at the quality of the Bryan Singer X-Men movies, I'm surprised they've carried on as long as they have.
Yeah.
Because the quality actually isn't that great.
And he's supposedly difficult to work with as well. If he rang up, if someone
rang up and said, he touches women up and
doesn't show up for work.
Yeah.
If someone rang up and said, "There's a Bryan Singer film, Ed Norton's in, you're also on the list," I would be tempted to say no. Even I would join you.
Well, I'd be worried one Bryan Singer's going to touch me up.
I think he'd absolutely touch me up. I'd be offended if he didn't.
No, I'd rather he didn't touch me up.
I'd absolutely rather he didn't, but I'd be offended if he didn't. You know what I mean? Like, what's wrong with me?
Yeah, right, I get your logic. But no, I think if they get the casting right for the X-Men roles...
See, I'm worried about the Fantastic Four. Mr. Fantastic is... Me and my brother sat down and tried to cast it the other night. MCU Mr. Fantastic. And it is so fucking hard to get right. Because there's got to be a certain age. they've got to be able to portray a certain kind of character, and it's really fucking hard. So if they get that right, but I trust the MCU. So far, their casting, on point, as said.
Yeah. In terms of Deadpool, absolutely no. Leave it on its own. It works perfectly the 100%. Way it is. You know, if you want to dip in some of the characters that they may cast for the X-Men,
to be honest,
absolutely go for it.
If you want to do a shared universe with Deadpool. Now that the Bryan Singer's X-Men don't matter,
you can absolutely
do it with them. Have them, so that the characters, because I know the actors are quite in love with the roles that they've come to play in that universe. We'll have them appear in Deadpool and stuff and carry that going. Yeah, it would be a fine way to do both.
Yeah,
and I think.
I mean, actually, to be fair, I did like James McAvoy. I like the people who were cast in those movies.
And you know how I feel about Fassbender.
Yeah.
I love him. He's one of the best.
He's not going to be Bond.
He should be Bond. He won't be Bond, but he should be
Bond. He shouldn't be Bond.
That's a whole other episode. We're gonna do some dream casting. We're gonna do an episode where we dream cast and stuff.
I'm in. But yeah, again, I did one thing I was excited about is I did read that for the MCU X-Men, the person being touted to be Wolverine. Do you know?
Daniel Radcliffe. Danny DeVito?
No, even Daniel Radcliffe was like, I can't do it.
I have seen a petition for Danny DeVito to be in the role.
Fuck off. Danny DeVito can suck my dick.
I'd let him.
No, Charlie Hunnam.
Yeah, I don't know. Hugh Jackman left a really good mark, but he's not a comic book Wolverine. He's a great Wolverine, but he's not comic Wolverine. So they've got a lot of opportunities to play with.
Yeah.
But as we do near the end of the podcast, I want to get your opinion on, I know we've sort of briefly discussed beforehand the topics we're going to talk about. I want to get your opinion on a topic that I didn't tell you.
Okay.
A surprise topic. The biggest news story of the year, one you knew we were going to come to, without knowing that we were going to come to it. The Jonas Brothers are back together. What news?
I cannot tell you how many sleepless nights I've had since they broke up.
I cried.
Almost as bad as One Direction.
Hey, listen.
Probably even
too soon.
Even worse than Wham. You know. Worse than Westlife. I still haven't forgiven Brian that he won't join in with them.
Oh, what a prick.
You know, is he too good for them? He's
too
good to live off the money.
No idea who Brian is, but I'm just going to say he's a prick anyway.
I would put it down to Sophie Turner. She's married one of them. She's obviously gotten back together.
Yeah, I reckon she pushed for it. And do you know what? I will say this in all seriousness. They've done it the right way round, because from what I've heard, they started doing group therapy.
Oh really?
To reconcile as a family unit before they made the decision to get the band back together.
Yeah. Plus, also I think Nick Jonas the one that went properly solo?
Yeah.
His music was a bit hit and miss. So
but I think they've done it the right way, and they're making music. They want to make music.
I wonder how much of that's press bullshit though. I do wonder sometimes with breakups, particularly when they're short-lived, because they haven't been broken up that long.
No, probably
several
about 4
years,
or 5
maybe.
Years, yeah.
And you do wonder, is it, we fancy a break for a while, maybe do our own thing for a bit if we pretend we're not friends anymore.
Yeah, potentially.
We can make a big deal out of it in a few years' time.
God, when I look into Joe Jonas's eyes, I believe everything he says.
Understandable, they are dreamy eyes.
They're dreamy eyes.
Yeah. They're the music version of the Baldwins, I love them. God
damn it. I mean, if there is ever a movie about the Jonas Brothers, the Baldwins to play them, for sure.
Yeah, I'm on board with that.
Absolutely.
Alec Baldwin could play.
He could play all of them, quite frankly.
He could do anything.
Let's give the others a job, because they're not doing anything.
Alec Baldwin, that sultry voice.
Man, if I wanted to narrate my life.
I don't know what has happened in this podcast, but I feel we've had a very erotic towards men vibe.
I mean, it's essentially started off as a 2019 recap so far.
And it's turned into a love.
And what it's turned into is getting a hard on over Alec Baldwin's voice.
Understandably, though.
And that, though, is an excellent insight into the way our minds work.
Just picture, like most people, if they wanted someone to narrate their life, the first name is Morgan Freeman.
Too obvious.
Not for me.
Too obvious.
I'm thinking Alec Baldwin.
Plus,
He's got a bit of everything.
My life has more excitement than Morgan Freeman can offer. No disrespect to them all.
No, and I feel like Morgan Freeman's someone that would narrate over your life if you spent your life, I don't know, caring for other people.
Also, if Morgan Freeman narrated my life, I'd be very concerned that I've got a sad ending in store.
Tragically.
A really poignant ending to my story.
Yeah,
I don't want that.
Jake died helping those people.
He died. He's not coming back.
No.
There's no sequel.
No.
But Alec Baldwin, I could see him turning around at the end of me and like, the story's only just begun. Ripping off his mask, it's me the whole time. I'm in for this film.
Yeah.
Edward Norton's not in it though.
Fucking right, he's not.
Sure.
And Bryan Singer is not fucking directing it.
He can fuck off.
Yeah. Hugh Jackman plays me in the movie of my life.
Tiger Woods can coach. Maybe if we do like a golf day, I'd like to get some tips. Not on the golf though.
Well, one of two people play me in a movie if I have a film made of my life.
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman or Jack Black.
I mean, they both look. I mean, yeah, Jack Black is a very modest shout. It's appreciating your own limits.
Hugh Jackman's pie in the sky.
Hugh Jackman.
But let's be honest, whenever films are made like that, like you just, like I thought, Zac Efron looks a little bit like Ted Bundy, but very flattering to Ted Bundy.
Oh, very nice to Ted Bundy.
And you see in quite a few films, where, like I think Brad Pitt in Moneyball looks nothing like
absolutely.
Billy
If they cast like Zac Efron in my movie, I think that's great. We've got Zac Efron on board. Who's he playing? You. This beefcake for me? Oh God, no! He's way better looking than I am.
The only six-pack I've ever had on my stomach is a six-pack of donuts.
No one's going to believe me when I go into a club and I'm like, this is me. They're going to be like, no, he's better looking than that. Yeah. He's better looking than
Zac Efron played you.
And there it is. 2019, covered. Up to this point.
I feel like, to be fair, we've not given it the
We've robbed you. Quite frankly, we've robbed you of 40 plus minutes of your life.
Yeah.
You're not getting them back.
No.
Don't write to us asking for them back.
Do you know what? I'm not even sorry.
No refunds. I'm sure as shit not sorry.
No.
Sure as shit. Fuck you guys. No, that's probably... I shouldn't say that.
No, do you know what? I will say it. Fuck you guys.
Okay, well, I'm going to say I like you guys.
I mean,
we're not playing good cop, bad cop.
Yeah.
We're playing a bit loose with the old fan base.
And guys, if there's anything you take from this, it's a serious message, and I just want to let you know I love you all. But if there's anything you're going to take from this, is that Alec Baldwin rocks my socks.
I think that's an excellent place to end.
Yeah.
Remember, share it, tell people. Seriously, just shove it under people's faces.
Yeah, please
and say, listen. Put it on in the background. Hit us up at Swords Crossing on Twitter. Find us. See how I nailed that first time? You see that? That's how you do it. That's how you do it like a pro. Email us, crossingswords19@gmail.com, and let us know. Again,
and we're on Facebook.
We've got a big episode coming up about mental health.
Yes, we have.
If you have any experiences, email us, tweet us. We will do it. We will deliver it anonymously.
Yeah.
We will handle it very delicately.
Yeah.
Any experiences, they don't even have to be your own. You can write in and say a friend of a friend had this experience.
Yeah.
We just want to know.
And just to put people's minds at ease, if they are considering writing in or emailing in, tweeting or whatever they choose to do, is we will be talking about our own personal experiences.
Very in depth.
In terms of mental health and our own things we've struggled with. So
if
you're worried about, it's going to be raw. So if you're worried about being exposed in any sense of the word, I think if anything, it's a good thing.
No, and you're not. Seriously, the whole theme of it is you're not alone, and it will be delivered in a way that you're not alone. So please write us, let us know your experience is, because we don't want it to just be talking about us. We want to be able to talk about other people. Like I said, we won't mention any names or any details that might give you away. So please get in contact, share it, like, subscribe, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And that, guys, is it.
Yep. Thank you yet again for